Hey y'all, welcome back to the virtual world of Second Life. Y'all, so is she not giving cutie patootie today? I feel like she's giving cute with her little pink. Look at this, how adorable. Yeah, I know I love when the outfit comes together and I can wear my little scarf and my little earmuffs, y'all. It really puts me in the holiday feels, the winter vibes, if you will. The majority of the lands that I'm coming across have more of like an adult holiday vibe as opposed to like a childlike holiday vibe, and I do appreciate that. Now, if you don't know, now you know. There are quite a few parents in Second Life, and so I totally get why they had more of just like that adult type vibe, because it caters to the kids, it caters to the role play and all of that stuff. But what I am finding is they seem to be a little bit more singular based, or like really nice for like couples and things like that. Almost having like a romantic type vibe. And I'm noticing that with a lot of the lighting. Like, this land is a land that I talked about in one of my, I think like the video before this, a couple of videos before this. I don't know when I'm bulk recording, work with me. But I talked about how I am coming across more lands that have a darker theme for the holiday season. And so this land is definitely an example of that. They got a lot of, it's the gleams or the glimmers of light with the darkness that I really do love. I love how they play on like the contrast of that. So it's like, if you see, we have like the darkness of it, but it's not like dark. It's more like almost like an evening type vibe. But then you have like the Christmas trees are lit up. And so that does give like a more lighted aspect. And I really do like that. I love the snow. And what I am coming across more of is more lands that are just like fully decorated. I have not been coming across any lands, any now. Last year, they was doing a little bit too much for me. I have not come across any lands that are just like strictly snow. And I'm gonna always appreciate that, because what I do know is the Christmas season in Second Life is definitely one of those times where I do expect to see like some really amazing things, and it never fails. I always do. But then there are times where you will come across a land that, what, maybe they could possibly just be in transition. It might just be one of those things where they're just like, listen, we don't really do Christmas, but we're trying to do a little something. And then what that something ends up looking like is just like a bunch of snow. And when I come across lands like that, I definitely don't hold it against them. I'm just like, you know what? Everything ain't for everybody. And that definitely is another thing that I really do enjoy about Second Life, is that you really get to see like the creativity of people and what people feel are their strong suits, or what they feel like they might be a little bit weaker in. I do feel like creating a winter themed land is difficult. In my opinion, I feel like the easiest land to create in Second Life, as far as landscaping goes, is going to be tropical. I don't know if it's just because I feel like there are more ample tropical items than it is wintertime. And I really think that that's because the majority of the season in Second Life is like a summery type vibe. So I do feel like they just make things a little bit more easier to find if it's like tropical type thing. But things like snow and stuff like that, and then you have to look at this tree, it's so pretty. The lights are turning different colors. I love that. Look at all this is what I'm talking about. So you see how they have like the sky, it's kind of like an evening type vibe, but then you have like the trees and they're all lit up and they're just so pretty, and that's just like that nice lighted aspect to it that I really like. I do feel like being able to know like what works best when you are doing a Christmas theme is very important. I know that there are a lot of different aspects that will cause the land to be a little bit laggy or just a little bit harder to walk around for people that don't know the terms. You might be watching this and you might not know anything about Second Life, but like sometimes there are elements that will be added that will make it a little bit more difficult to walk around the lands. And so I do feel like knowing what to put down or how much of something to put down is very important. And just being honest, I do feel like there are people that just work better with understanding like different things that you can use and how it's going to affect your land and what's going to work best for the land. And so when I see lands that do like all seasons, like this is one of those lands that they go throughout the different seasons, and I love that. As someone on the outside looking in, it's like I come to these spaces and I'm just like, oh, they decorated it for a new theme and things like that. But it's like a lot goes into this, especially because it's like, for me, I feel like it's so seamless when it comes to like the changing of the lands. There's never been a time that I've come to a land and the land was closed down for decorating. And so I don't know how they're doing it. Perhaps I just pick the perfect times every time to go and check out new lands. I don't know. But the way that they will seamlessly transition transition from one season to the other, I really feel like that's amazing in itself, because as somebody who decorates a very small portion of land, it takes me a nice little minute. I don't know if that speaks to my creativity or the lack thereof, or perhaps that just goes back to just my focus. I don't know. But what I will say is I love this garland. I love this. Look how pretty it is in here. What I will say is that it definitely takes a level of skill to be able to change up the lands and really be able to convey a certain type of feel, a certain type of vibe, a certain type of nostalgia that I feel like a lot of these lands do so well. I want to come to this land with y'all, and I want to feel wild. I want to feel excited. I want to feel like, look how beautiful this is. Like, that's how I want to feel the entire time. And so luckily, it's not difficult for me to find like a lot of these lands that give that type of vibe. It's just more or less like, what type of wow vibe am I going for? There was a time where I was into just like really like springy time, floral type lands, and I wasn't coming across a lot of lands like that. And it really was putting me in a mood, because I said, where are the lands that I like? Normally I'll go to a land and I'll be like, okay, this is fine. I love it. It's gorgeous. Let's go look at it. But then, I also have those moments like I had a little bit a while ago. I love this, where it was a specific type of vibe that I was looking for and I couldn't find it. And that was a bit frustrating. That definitely was a bit frustrating. Oh, look at the babies. Look how pretty they are. But, even though things might be a little bit frustrating, I'm always able to find what I'm looking for. And that's another beautiful thing about Second Life, is like, it's there. You might have to dig a little deeper or search a little bit longer for it, but it's there. Any and everything that I've ever wanted to see in Second Life, I've always been able to find it. And that is something that I absolutely love about Second Life, because it's like, whatever kind of vibe you're feeling at the moment, you're definitely going to be able to come across it. And like I said, you might just have to do a little bit more digging. And so I really do love that. This land, when I tell y'all, I'm not surprised, but I'm always just like, very, very impressed by how they will change the vibe of the land. We've gone here before and it was a completely different layout, and that's another thing. It's like thinking of different layouts and like how you want the land to look. That is something too that takes time. And so I don't know if they think these things up just like way in advance, or if they're just like, this would be a really nice thing. I don't know. But what I will say is it's hard for me to come up with something, so the fact that they're able to on a regular basis, it is definitely to be commended. I'm still just like very, very so much in awe of the way that they put things together in Second Life, and my ability to be able to bring them to y'all for the free. We love for the free. We love for the free. That's my favorite amount. That's my favorite price, is for the free. And I've also been coming across a lot of really nice interactive Christmas trees. I said, you know what? Hell yeah. They really have been stepping it up more and more. And I really do love that for us. It keeps me pepped. It keeps me energized. It keeps me yearning for more.